and welcome to Come Mine With Me. Please take a seat and join me as I install and tune an RTX 2080 for Ethereum mining. Now let's go. Well, all cards are still looking good and stable. No rejected shares at all in the past nearly 5 days now. So awesome. Now let's get this rig installed and get this 2080 on this rig. We'll just let the cards cool down for a second. That'll be fine. Just realised I'll need 2 splitters for these because I need to split the splitter. GTX 2080 installed, and every PCI slot is used up now, so I'll have to get an M.2 to PCI riser. Actually, I believe I've got 1 spare still. Awesome. Still, I'll need to get some more risers and some more splitter cables soon, because I am nearly out of those completely. And you always want to make sure that you have extra little accessories. Alive! First, let's just check device manager and display devices. And yes, they all show up. And there's the new RTX 2080. Beautiful. Right, so now I'm gonna up the Windows virtual memory. And if you don't know how to do this, just right click on this PC on your My Computer and go to Properties, then it takes you to your system, about your system. Scroll to the bottom and Advanced System Settings, go to Advanced, Performance, Advanced. Oh, there's the PC initializing the graphics card, I think. Let's give it a second. There we go. And, oh, I only have it currently set for 25 gigs. Oh yeah, that's fine. I normally put it to 5 gigabytes per card. So now I've got 6 on here, let's bump that up to 30 gig and always make the maximum size double the initial size and then click set. If you come in here and you haven't changed this before, it'll probably be set to automatically manage page and sizes for all drives. Now this is fine normally, but for when you're mining with multiple graphics cards, you want to basically have that extra memory readily available just in case your computer needs to use it because of the amount of RAM, that like VRAM, that you're actually using from the graphics card for mining. So then when that's set, you basically just click OK, and then sometimes it'll prompt to restart your computer if it's changed a lot. I think that's where that's happened before. I might be wrong, but yeah. So when that is set, then a lot of the time I like to install a new driver just so there's a fresh driver installed. Right, driver is installed. Give one more restart just so the system's fresh before we start overclocking. You don't have to do stuff like restarting your system as many times that I do. It's just I like to, when installing drivers and having something fresh, because then if you've got your PC running for a while, especially when you're doing something like mining where you want it just to have as much uptime as possible, I just find it much more reliable to start everything from as fresh as possible when you can. Right, so open up MSI Afterburner. Just make sure all the other clocks stuck. Yeah, all those power limits are looking good. Yeah, looks good. Right, so RTX 2080. Let's put that power limit down to 80. And then let's start test mining. Right, so stock we are getting 37.33 megahash at 160 watts. That sounds very similar to the 2070 Super and 2070. I've had to wait to get my hands on one of these until I can actually judge it, but from all the Reddit posts I've read and various other forums, it does look like I said in one of my other videos, all the graphics cards from the 2060 Super all the way up to the 2080 Super all have basically the same hash rate capability on Ethereum. So let's tweak this one and see if we get the same sort of results. So first off, let's bump the memory up to, let's go 600 to start. And that's bumped up the power by 10 watts. And the megahash is slowly going up. Looks like we've settled around 40.98 megahash at 169, 170 odd watts. So let's save that. And bump that up to 800 megahertz on the clock. I don't normally touch the core clock now until after I set the core clock lock on the 20 series and the 16 series. Just because literally every single card that I've had has some effect sometimes on the core clock being affected after the core clock lock, but not the other way around. Right, so we've got 42.19 megahash at 169 watts, or 173, oh that's funny, I did bump it down a little bit for one bit. Let's save this because this seems pretty stable. And then let's up the memory clock to 1000. And we're over 43 megahash at 1000. Right, so it looks like we settled around 43.41 at 1000 megahertz on the memory. So let us save that. And let's bump her up just 100 megahertz at a time now until we get a crash. And we've got 44.01 megahashes a second at 1100 megahertz on the memory clock. That's seeming pretty stable, so let's save that and bump it up another 100 megahertz. 1200. And we're still not crashing yet. Temperature seems to be holding up really well as well for just a single fan blower style card. This is the first single fan blower style card I've had, I guess, so I'm not very experienced with how good they are at cooling. But from looking at them, you can just kind of normally imagine that they're not going to be as good as like the 2 or 3 fan card designs. And looks like we've settled at 44.62 megahash at 1200 megahertz on the memory. Let's just give that a few more refreshes, and if it seems stable I'll bump it up another 100. Seeming good to me. Temperature's looking good as well. Right, 1300 megahertz on the memory. Let's see if we can get this card to 45 megahash. Right, looks like we settled around 45.23 megahash at 1300 megahertz on the memory clock. So let's save that. That's been running for a minute and it seems pretty stable. It's still holding about the same temperature as well, that 54-55 degrees Celsius. Let's bump this up to 1400 on the memory. And still not crashing. That would be amazing if we can get this card up to 46 megahash. It's only got 100 megahertz left because the memory clock only goes up to plus 1500 at maximum, so if it holds stable at that, then that's fantastic. I think I've got a golden 2080. Right, looks like that's leveled out at around 45.83 megahash at 1400 megahertz on the memory. So let's save that. And let's, don't even need to type it in, let's just put the slider all the way up. Sometimes I hover over these elements because you'll notice that these won't change if you're crashing, so you can kind of notice a crash sometimes, quickly click your previous saved clock, and then when it freezes sometimes it'll give you that opportunity to just apply your other clock quickly before it manages to hang. But we've got over 46 megahash and it's still not crashing. We've got a pretty solid 2080 right here. I know I haven't set the power limit yet, so hopefully we can bring that all the way down to 120 watts or less. So we'll try that as long as this stays nice and stable. But wow, 46.36 mega hash. 46.43, still going up. Yeah, 46.44 mega hash. Amazing. Right, let's save that because it's not crashing. And it's staying rock solid stable. Alright, let's bring this power limit all the way down, see what that does. Amazing. It's kept exactly the same hash rate and it's dropped all the way down to 125 watts, which is exactly what the 2070 Supers and the 2060 Supers do as well. So that is excellent to see. Right, I'm going to leave that run for another 5 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes, just make sure it's completely stable. And then I'm going to set the core clock lock and see what we can, if we can get any extra mega hash and any extra power savings. So I shall be back in a smidgen. Right, so that is staying pretty rock solid at 46.45 mega hash at 123, 124 watts by the looks of it. Let's shut T-Rex miner down and apply the core clock. So let's start off at 1000 for this GPU as well. Right, looks like we've dropped down hash rate. We're at 42.8, so we've lost nearly 4 mega hash, dropped down to 91 watts, but we're looking for the same hash rate for as little wattage as we can get. So let's bump that up to 1100. We've actually jumped up to 46.52, 46.53 mega hash at under 100 watts. 99 and then 98 watts was the second reading. And it loves that. Right, 46.54. Let's see if we can beat that. Let's bump that up another 100. And if this does nothing, then I might actually bump it down between 1000 and 1100, so 1050, and see what that does. 46.5, so tiny bit less. At about the same or a tiny bit more wattage, maybe just 1 more watt. Right, let's try 1050. And then if 1050 doesn't get 46.54, then we'll put it back to 1100. We've actually dropped below 46, so okay, let's try between 1100 and 1200 then, just in case we get any slightly better with 1150. Basically the same mega hash as 1200, but then the same wattage as 1100. So yeah, I think 1100 is the sweet spot for this card. And this card doesn't seem like one of those ones which I even need to play around with the core clock, so I think I'm just going to leave it because it actually upped the mega hash a bit anyway with the core clock lock. So that is fantastic. Let's just make sure that profile is saved. I'm sure it was. Cool. Right, I think I'm happy with those overclocks. Right, I'm going to leave that and keep an eye on it for a while. And as long as it runs stable, we don't get any rejected shares, and everything stays just nice as it seems like it will, then we should be good to tango. But that card is also running at 470 kilohash per watt, which is lovely. The fan only running at 65% because I got my fan curve to run at 100% when it reaches 55 degrees Celsius, and it's only 46 degrees Celsius on the core clock. Now we've set the core clock lock and the power limit. I can remember it was hovering around the 55 and then 69 or something like that with the power limit at 80, but as soon as we pulled that down, that started dropping the temperatures. Lovely. And then I think I'm going to try and make a 12 card rig soon. I think I'm going to try and get one of those mining motherboards with 12 or 13 PCI slots, and then I'll put that probably on the top shelf and replace my orrery with something or other. Well, that's about it for this video, so thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content or learned something, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel, drop a recommendation for a video in the comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Happy mining!